Chairman of Parliament says he is one that has lived with suffering in silence. Minister of Finance addresses the issue of the letter from State Secretary of Kingdom Relations Raymond Knops, and the St. Martin Police Force launches the Armed Robbery Campaign. Those are the headlines for Wednesday, October the 21st, 2020. Good evening, viewers. This is SXM Daily News. I'm Valerie from Clinton. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. And as usual, we have a full newscast for you, so let's get started. In our first story, the St. Martin Police Force has officially launched its campaign Armed Robbery, which is geared towards educating businesses on how to avoid becoming a victim of an armed robbery. Speaking to our news department, Police Inspector Stephen Carty and E. Josefa, the police acting spokesperson from the Department of Communications, tells us more of how this campaign came about.
Let's do the basic things first. We're going to do the other difficult things as it goes. But let's do the basic things. We have an uptick over the last few weeks. There was a quiet period, I think from August for sure until September. We started a campaign in the end of September expecting that something's going to happen in October, and there's a valley and there's a peak. And we're back climbing on the peak. What happened yesterday was one of the important factors. During two robberies that took place yesterday morning, and I'm talking between
broad
9
daylight.
o'clock, broad daylight. In the afternoon, you have to big up the police officers sometime. We had a number for this car. They were out the whole morning until they find the car, and we arrested the armed robbers. So the mere fact that, and again, we get the help from the public for this, and you always got to thank them because of what they do for us in the small times and matters. The small thing that matters. They see something, say something. Our logo from the communication department is that at the moment for this year. If you see something, leave us know. Say something.
Say something. Okay. Inspector, talk to us about the reason why there aren't enough foot patrols in Phillipsburg.
You say not enough. Well, then.
Well, we don't see any, but I know they got to be there.
If it's been said, then we'll have to increase our visibility within the Phillipsburg area. I myself, I think that's one of the advantages of having Phillipsburg. I really don't, when I say Phillipsburg, let's say the town area, I don't need a car, I don't need a bicycle. I walk around, and as a community officer, that helps me to meet everyone that's within my community. So there's where you form your networks with the people in your community. So if you're not seeing enough of us, then you're not seeing enough of me either. I'll have to improve that.
Okay.
Unfortunately, at this time, with COVID being the major impact in our economy, a lot of the businesses have closed down, so you don't see much people. But on the other hand, it has brought on another aspect in the Phillipsburg area.
And we will have more with the community police officers in tomorrow's edition of SXM Daily News. In other news at this time, Minister of Finance, the Honorable Ardwell Irion, speaking at the Council of Ministers' weekly press briefing earlier today, in his opening remarks, he addressed the issue of the letter from State Secretary of Kingdom Relations Raymond Knops regarding the floating of a 75 million guilder bond from Central Bank for liquidity support for government to continue the support of the SSRP.
As many of you may know, St. Martin started the process of floating a bond through the Central Bank of 75 million guilders. And all indications beforehand and the discussions I've had with a few financial institutions indicated that we would have had a full subscription until I decided to suspend the bond floating or issuing of the bond on Monday. One of the reasons why we decided to float a bond was obviously for liquidity support for government, for continuing the support of our SRP, and for the fact that the State Secretary Knops did not continue the discussions directly with the Prime Minister or the government of St. Martin, but we still continued the discussions with the CFT and their secretariat. I thought it was very important that St. Martin looks in our best interest for funding, financing to continue fighting the fight, which is this pandemic and our financial situation. In addition to that, the Parliament has a unanimous motion that stated the conditions and the proposal as was presented to the government of St. Martin basically was not accepted. And as a government, we have no other choice then but to, in addition to continue the talks, but also look for alternatives for financing to continue to keep government running. I got a letter on October 16th from State Secretary Knops requesting us to cancel the bond, to continue the talks within the next 4 weeks. In addition to that, the refinancing of a bond that was maturing on today, Wednesday 21st, will be potentially refinanced during those times. And we thought it very important that this bond did get the refinancing approval. We did request 2 weeks beforehand for advice through CFTA on the request for refinancing. And so this was already done 2 weeks in advance. We decided that in the best interest of St. Martin and the threat of having the bond not refinanced, so that was basically the proposal. If we do not cancel the floating of the bond, that the Netherlands would then not refinance, or we won't have any discussion anymore on the refinancing of the bond that was maturing today. In the best interest of the country, we did suspend the floating of the bond to continue the talks and have the bond refinanced. Today, October 21st, I again got a letter from State Secretary Knops. We received a letter from State Secretary Knops that was sent to the CFTA. And when we view the content of this letter, it is at least clear to us that St. Martin did not violate any part of the NFTA, and that there could be no expectation for St. Martin to request approval, as was indicated by the CFTA in their letter. As I mentioned, and it's very evident in the letter today that even to State Secretary Knops, it is not clear either. And he's now asking for advice from the CFTA after the fact, which is a bit telling, but either way, we are here today. So yesterday, actually, we had a meeting with the Secretariat from the CFTA on the finalization of the conditions. And then in addition to that, because I'm hearing a lot of yes to other islands with the conditions. If you even look at our sister island, Curaçao, they also have met conditions, but the one thing that they did have is the possibility to continue talks while they were meeting these conditions, which St. Martin was not afforded the same opportunity. So I look forward to the questions forthcoming and the continued discussions and the quick approval from the CFTA and the EDMED on continued financing for the support of the country.
And Minister of VSR, the Honorable Richard Panafleck, gave an update on the COVID-19 cases at today's Council of Ministers weekly press briefing. In his opening remarks, the minister said that COVID-19 is a challenge we must overcome together. The minister also reminded the community to talk to their doctors about scheduling a mammogram and prostate cancer screening.
As of yesterday, October 20th, 6 additional persons have tested positive for the COVID-19, increasing the total active cases to 65. The total number of confirmed cases is now 762. CPS are monitoring 57 people in home isolation. 8 patients are hospitalized at St. Martin Medical Center, and the total number of deaths remains at 22. The number of people recovered since first case surfaced on St. Martin remains 675. 85 persons are in quarantine based on contact tracing investigation. In the efforts to further control the spread of the virus, CPS has tested 1,154 travelers arriving at the Princess Juliana Airport and 4,778 people throughout the community. Today, I urge you to make your health a priority. Maintain the social distancing rule of 2 meters, practice good hand hygiene, and do not forget to wear your mask in public. COVID-19 is a challenge we must overcome together. I also would like to make use of this opportunity to remember the community at large to talk to your doctor about scheduling a mammogram or a prostate cancer screening today. Early detection is key to both breast cancer and prostate cancer survival.
And still to come, Minister of Romy says he is here to move this country forward. We'll have the details to that story and more when SXM Daily News returns.
GEBE has been faithfully serving the communities of St. Martin, powering your home and our economy. Come rain or shine, our qualified team of professionals are working hard 24 hours a day to provide you and your family with safe, reliable electricity and water. We use the latest technologies and test our products daily to maintain the highest international standards. Our friendly staff is always there to assist you, whether in person, over the phone, or online. We are committed to constantly improving our products and services, making them more efficient, effective, and environmentally friendly to serve you better today and our next generation of clients tomorrow. GEBE, powering a brighter future.
Our friend Megawati is here with tips to save you energy. 1. Turn your airco temperature up. 2. Use a ceiling fan instead. 3. Buy energy-saving products. Save some green with NVGEBE.
Welcome back, viewers. You're watching SXM Daily News, and I am Valerie Van Putten. Minister of Romy, the Honorable Egbert Doran, who fielded a question from a reporter regarding his vision for the Phillipsburg project, says he is here to move this country forward and to save the government some money.
My question is, there have been some criticisms leveled against the vision projects that you announced last week. It was described as being out of touch with reality, a lack of fresh vision, and irresponsible at this time. Some suggestions were also made as to why not fix issues such as the dump, roads, school buildings, etc. first. So my question to you is, what is your response to these criticisms? And why do we need a new government building when we have one on Pawn Island that we only just started occupying in 2017, I believe? And I think we put 30 years to pay for.
With respect to how do I react to criticism, I'm not here to react to criticism. I am here to move this country forward. With the question posed about the government building that is proposed for where the current state of the old government building is to house all the other offices that are outside. We currently pay about 10 million a year in rent. So we are now busy trying to reduce costs and generate revenue. So this is part of the cost cutting measures, which will eventually be in ownership of the government of St. Martin and also the parliament. We are paying, I think it's about 80,000 guilders a month for the Parliament building as well.
And in more news, St. Martin has to change its position on the testing procedure and adapt more to the antigen diagnostic tests recently approved by the World Health Organization, echoed Member of Parliament of the USP, the Honorable Claudius Bonkamper. We need to get away from mandatory testing position to an advisory testing position, the Member of Parliament said. Currently, visitors to the island are required to do a mandatory PCR test prior to their arrival. However, MP Bonkamper believes that the VSR ministry should move from a mandatory to an advisory PCR test. Speaking to the Voice of St. Martin News Department, he further expounded on the subject.
Safety and health always comes first of our people. But we also have to start dealing with realities in this world. COVID is not going to go away tomorrow. It's not going to go away next week. It's not going to go away next year. It is something that we are going to be struggling with for a while. You can see what's happening right now in France. You can see what's happening in Holland. France has 40,000 cases a day. Holland has 8,000 cases a day, so they start closing down certain areas again. But at the end of the day, the things that are not happening in Holland, the things that are not happening in St. Martin is that we have this type of boom with people getting sick. The rapid antigen testing is something that was spoken months ago. I believe it was MP Otley that said, let's do this. And there was a whole big to-do about it. There's a lot of pushing and shoving in it. Now the WHO has taken a position. We are part of the PAHO. So my question is going to be to the ministers, so well the Minister of VSA as the Minister of TIAT, what are we waiting on? Why don't we change our position? Because this is what it's all about with the airlines. When you read the booking.com, when you see what's happening, St. Martin's growth is very, very slow. And that has to do with its position on the testing. We need to get away from a mandatory testing position to an advisory testing position. So you're advised to do a PCR test if you want to come to St. Martin. Not that you are mandatory, obligated to do it. It takes 5 to 7 days to get an answer in the United States of America on a mandatory test of PCR. While if we tell everybody, test or no test, when you come to St. Martin, we are going to do the rapid antigen test. If you're negative, you go your jolly way. You go and enjoy your vacation. If you're inconclusive or if you're positive, you will get a PCR test right away. And with that, you then have to wait your 1 day in quarantine in your hotel room. And if you're negative, you go and enjoy your vacation. If you're positive, we're going to have to deal with the situation. Now, if you do that, you're immediately going to see your numbers increase good. And increase in such a way that the economy of this country will be saved. You know, we talk about diversification, but you cannot diversify overnight. So you're going to have to save the economy that we have right now. That's the tourism economy. You can see the pushback that is coming now also in the States with the cruise industry. The CDC said until the 31st of October, there is going to be a no sail out of the U.S. waters. That has been challenged now. The Trump administration said that's over. The state of Florida said they are opening their ports so that people can start, the cruise industry can start back. You cannot cripple the world industry. You don't have the money to pay for it another 6 months. It just simply isn't there. So we're going to have to deal with the reality of life, and the reality of life is we are going to have to open back up to the business world, and that is tourism. We're going to have to allow them to start coming here in bigger numbers than they are coming.
And now in news from the police blotter, the detective department, together with the patrol officers, have arrested 3 suspects for 2 armed robberies which took place early Tuesday morning, October the 20th, 2020. The police patrols, together with members of the Special Robbery Unit of St. Martin Police, arrested the 3 suspects with the initials RRR, AEA, and MPC for their alleged involvement in Tuesday morning's robberies. About 8:50 a.m., the police dispatch received a report that a male suspect fled a supermarket in the Sucker Garden area after having robbed the establishment of its earnings. On the scene, the officers were told that a male suspect who was dressed in a blue coverall entered the establishment brandishing a firearm and demanded the supermarket's daily earnings. After robbing the establishment, the suspect fled in a gray vehicle that was parked a few meters away. The vehicle took off in an unknown direction. The Central Dispatch then received another call at around 9:30 a.m. regarding another robbery that had taken place at a supermarket, this time on the L.B. Scott Road. A detailed description matching that of the male suspect involved in the first robbery was given to the detectives on the case. After robbing the supermarket, the suspect got into the same previously described gray car and drove off, this time in the direction of St. Peter's. A search was quickly carried out by the patrols in the area for the suspect and suspect's vehicle, but to no avail. Reports of a sighting of the vehicle in the area of Pendant Cactus Road in Sucker Garden were received at around 1 p.m. The patrols, together with the members of the Special Unit Robberies, rushed to the location where the car was indeed found. The 3 persons who were in the vehicle at the time were immediately apprehended, arrested, and transported to the Phillipsburg Police Station. The car was also confiscated. Detectives of the Special Unit Robberies are still busy with this investigation. The police is reminding the entire community that crime prevention is everybody's business. Now, turning to our weather forecast for October the 21st, 2020. The combination of light southerly winds generated by a weak Atlantic high pressure ridge and daytime heating may cause a few showers across the region. Swells generated by Hurricane Epsilon will cause seas to peak at 9 feet. Small craft operators and sea bathers should continue to exercise caution. Hurricane Epsilon continues to move away from the local region. This system does not pose a direct threat to St. Martin. The Meteorological Department of St. Martin will continue to monitor this system. So the outlook through Friday midday, fair to partly cloudy with a few showers possible. Now let's turn to your 3-day forecast. And still to come, MP Otley queries what is the #1 cause of mental health. We'll have the details to that story and more when SXM Daily News returns.
The innovative Banco-Matico contactless smart card. Your Banco-Matico smart card is now equipped with a contactless feature for payments, so get ready to tap and go. Contactless payments are fast, easy, secure, and accepted worldwide at all Maestro-enabled contactless terminals. Tap for transactions equivalent to or less than 100 NAF, or the US dollar equivalent. You will receive notifications via email anytime you tap. Tap, tap, and pay fast with WIB. For more information, visit our website at wib-bank.net. Tap and go with your partner in progress.
Welcome back, viewers. You're watching SXM Daily News. And as we continue now with more news for you at this time, Chairman of Parliament, the Honorable Rolando Bryson, speaking at the parliamentary meeting yesterday with the Committee of Public Health, Social Development and Labor, and with representatives of Integrity Healthcare Consulting to discuss a proposal for consultative services to the Mental Health Foundation, says one of the things that have struck him the most in the presentation is the term suffering in silence, as he is one that has lived with suffering in silence. He expounds further.
One of the things that struck me the most in this presentation is the term suffering in silence. And that hits home because of, as I've mentioned a few times here, and I never tend to go into detail into it, but I am someone that has lived with this suffering in silence in terms of mental health. And it's because of the taboo, because you are told in society that you can't be a successful business person. You can't be a successful politician. Something wrong with you unless your head is perfectly good. You can have borderline personality disorder or any of these things and function within society. Unfortunately, that is the level of the taboo out there. You know, but today and going forward, I for one will not live the example of somebody that needs to suffer in silence. I have been from a young age. I always knew that I felt differently. I thought differently. And at some point, you know, in the Netherlands, actually during my studies and with a guidance counselor, I determined that I actually live and I don't suffer with, I live with borderline personality disorder.
Meanwhile, Member of Parliament for the UP, the Honorable Omar Otley, addressing the representative of Integrity Healthcare consultant Frederica Ford, says that one of the things that stood out to him was the connection of hurricanes and mental health. One of the other things that the MP wanted to know was what is the #1 cause of mental health, and he expounded further.
One of the things that stood out to me was the connection between hurricanes and mental health. I've asked this question before, but have not received the answer. So I was happy to hear this inside of your presentation. I too agree that there is a link between hurricanes and mental health. Here in St. Martin, we prepare pretty good, I think, but we often prepare for physical damage. We prepare for death. We prepare on the medical side for lacerations and so forth. But I don't think that we prepare enough for the mental issues that comes with someone losing their entire business, with someone losing their house. Many people are faced with, we have seen people spend their whole life savings to build their house, maybe not insured it, and hurricane come and take it away in 1 hour or a couple hours. So I am happy to hear this, and I think that now this educates us to better have the government to be prepared for mental issues along with hurricane. Also internal issues like high blood pressure, strokes, all of these things have been linked to loss of asset. One of the things that COVID-19 has taught us is now the importance of physical health, because we see that people with underlying symptoms such as diabetes and high blood pressure are often being subjected to death. One of my questions to you is, do you see a link between a healthy lifestyle and a healthy mental state? If so, please share with us. Another thing I would like to ask you, from your studies, you say you believe a lot in data, which is very good. What would you say, based on data, is the #1 cause of mental health? Is it trauma? Is it genetics? Is it loss of assets? Can you elaborate on that and let us know, like, from your studies? Maybe it may vary in the Caribbean to the United States. If you can compare, then let us know.
And with that, viewers, brings us to the end of this edition of SXM Daily News. I am Valerie from Britain. And just a reminder that this and other programs are available online. Simply log on to stmartinmediacenter.com for viewing. And on behalf of the SXM Daily News team, we thank you so much for watching and plan on meeting you right back here again tomorrow.